welcome back to Rohrich Knose Podcast, helping you become a better and more informed consumer. So let's talk today about fillers. You know, why have we seen so many pillow faces today? Because we were told that hyaluronic acid fillers not only are safe, but they resorb. But do they really? Let's find out. Let's take a deep dive with nobody else than Dr. Steve Fagien, an amazing oculoplastic surgeon in Boca Raton, a world expert in hyaluronic acid fillers and so much more. Steve, welcome.
Thank you, Rod. It's great to be here. Happy to be back.
So tell us a little bit about, we all have used HA fillers. They're very safe. There's, I think, more than 15 available in the USA today, which is far less than in Europe and any other country. But we've always been told that they're biodegradable and that, you should probably inject them every year or maybe less. And now we're seeing maybe that's not so true. And what problems are we seeing with HA fillers?
As you said, we assumed that they just were digested, your body got rid of them with time, and you go back to normal. In fact, if you go on Google or do any AI search, it says that hyaluronic acid is highly biodegradable.
Right.
And that eventually when the filler, HA, hyaluronic acid, is resorbed, the tissues go back to their normal state. That actually probably couldn't be more false.
That's right.
Because we assumed, especially we'll talk maybe about biostimulators later, that these were just inert filling substances that didn't cause an inflammatory response. And they actually do. It's not that it's a bad inflammatory response, but it elicits an immunologic response, an inflammatory response that you would think was because you're trying to digest the material. But it's basically, even though people say it's a natural substance, your body has, your skin has, your tissues have hyaluronic acid, they don't have it at this level and this concentration. So we thought they would go away, and now we're finding they don't.
Right.
And they can last not only months, but they can last years. And I've had patients that I've operated on that have had filler 15 years before, and their hyaluronic acid is still there. Because I think once your body kind of decides that it's okay to be there, it doesn't get rid of it.
Right.
It's accepted.
Right.
And I think the problems is longevity and persistence of a product anywhere, as we mentioned, elicits some kind of response. One of them is hydrophilicity, meaning it will absorb water.
Right.
Certain areas, lower face, lips, actually absorbing water actually looks pretty good.
Right.
Other areas like around the eyes, not so good. The skin is incredibly thin. And as we all know, we wake up in the morning, we're tired, we've had a late night out, our eyes are all swollen. That's where it shows. And it certainly has shown more recently that filling around the eyes has been a big problem, and particularly since it doesn't go away.
Yep. No, I agree. And obviously you, as being an expert as an oculoplastic surgeon too, I actually have stopped doing HA fillers in the eyes. Sure. And because I've taken it out more than I've ever seen before. And you're right, it can be 10, 15 years old because, even though people say, hyaluronic acid is ubiquitous in the body, but not if it's cross-linked.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I think it's cross-linked, and for the body to unbreak those cross-links is probably challenging. And I think sometimes, like you said, the body says, hey, you know what? I'm going to give up. And then it becomes inspissated. And we see that especially because people have been over-injecting fillers for a long time, and that's why we see those incredibly, those Hollywood big lips, those inspissated cheeks, and they look terrible. And so now we're seeing people say, hey, let's take a look back, and we're finding out, as you said, they don't go away completely, and that less is more. And so the prudent...
What usually happens, interestingly, patients schedule an appointment. Yeah. They go to see whoever their injector is. They actually look pretty good. It hasn't all gone away, obviously. Even the aesthetic effects are still somewhat present. And the typical natural response is to give them more.
I know.
Because they're there, the patients think they want more. And what I have seen, and you have seen as well, I'm sure, there's a critical mass on how much your body will accept.
Right.
And after that, and I had an experience with an excellent filler when I've been actually over years telling this patient, this is the amount I think you need, no more. And she came in, look, it's just not lasting as long. I want you to put more in this time. I argued with her for a short period of time, and she goes, look, and I told her the problems I was concerned with. I'll be darned, a month later, she was swollen because she could handle that little bit very well.
Right.
But once I crossed that line, now the good news is it went away.
Right.
But we don't want to put people there. And again, the days of putting 8 to 10 syringes, which some of the FDA studies did, are over. You're harming patients with that amount of volume, right, because the problems are not necessarily seen right away. And these providers show their pictures a week out. You know, everybody looks okay a week out. I want to see how you look at 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. And it should be a gradual diminishment of the product and going back to the normal state. But that's not what we're seeing. And again, I don't think you or I are slamming HA fillers. I think they're great fillers used appropriately.
Right, I agree. And what bothers me, and I see sometimes even good injectors say, oh, well, I want to do facial balancing, which AKA means I'm going to inject 6 to 8 cc's in you. Now, that bothers me because sometimes that's called facial imbalance long term because they may look good with 6 cc's for a month or two, but they're not going to look good in 6 or 12 months because they're going to look like imbalance. I mean, you've seen that too, and that bothers me. And I've tried to tell, and these are pretty good injectors, because I don't, like you, just like with neuromodulation, I don't go by cc's, I go by results. And if anything, you want to underdo them because guess what? With time, it's not like Botox, that which does go away, it actually can be potentiated.
Yeah. People are getting smarter. You know, they don't want big cheeks anymore. They don't want huge lips anymore. And it's just like surgery. People want to look like nothing happened.
Right.
And when you make them look like something happened, that's not a good result.
Right.
So, you know, the natural, I mean, it seems so obvious, but the natural, a little bit to give a nice aesthetic effect, it won't cause any problems. And in 6 months, if you need more, you do it again. But to overfill them, which some people will do because they go, if I give you a lot more, it will last longer. And sure it will. That bad result will last a real long time.
But also, I think sometimes it becomes inspissated and actually becomes deforming. And I see that in lips. And you can't just make it melt away because hyaluronidase doesn't melt it away at all. I mean,
correct.
That's the misnomer. And I can see, you know, like sometimes before facelifts and right up, I'm injecting a lot of hyaluronidase to just kind of dissipate it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a great point. The other comment you hear from patients, they go, well, I went to this person and they said if I didn't like it, they can just dissolve it with hyaluronidase. Hyaluronidase just breaks down large chains into small chains. That's all. It does not dissolve the filler. So you're hoping that when you break it down that your body will digest it. But as we talked about, sometimes breaking it down, the body sees it as just like it was and does nothing. And I think that is deceptive in many ways to say, if you don't like it, we'll just get rid of it.
Right. I mean, incredibly wise words from Dr. Fagien. So in wrapping up this episode, tell us the 3 take-homes that every viewer should know about HA fillers today.
One, they're not all the same. Again, like neuromodulators, they absolutely have their own personalities. Ask whoever your injector is how much the experience is, what areas are appropriate, and what kind of problems you can get into with this. And if I do get into problems, what can you do about it? Right. So I think, again, there are so many good HA products, even in the United States. As you mentioned, there's hundreds worldwide. Frankly, some are better than others. I think the ones we have here in the U.S. generally are pretty good.
Right, I agree.
They're not all appropriate in the same areas. Some fillers are just better in other areas than others. And you need to ask whoever your injector is, where they inject and why, and what kind of problems can I get into? You know, we can talk about, obviously, complications that occur with fillers, but a good injector, a careful injector, who's thinking about what they're doing before they start just poking holes is unlikely to get you into trouble.
Right. That's incredibly wise words. You know, less is more. Find an injector that's open, that's honest, that's experienced, that's going to do less is more and do it in a gradual process. And don't hold back saying, oh my God, we can melt it if it's too much. That's the wrong way to go. So incredibly sage advice from an amazing plastic surgeon, Dr. Steve Fagien. Thank you, man, for your time. Until
Thank
next
you.
time, stay safe, stay educated, and less is more.